back. Episode 64, A.M.University. I'm your host, Antoine Miller. Good to be back. Wayne Smalls Jr. What's up, brother?
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Got your gear on, ready to go. Got a great guest today. Childhood friend. Doing a lot of great things in the city. I'll just let you introduce yourself. Everybody, we all know HAAS, but let's start with that. Brother HASSAIN, PULLIAM, how you living?
I'm doing good. Minister HASSAIN, PULLIAM.
There we go.
AKA Mr. God Help My City.
AKA Mr. God Help My City. All right, let's jump right into it, man. So you don't talk about, well, you do in your ministry, but you don't divulge, I'll say your unique path of life to everybody. You know, you divulge what needs to be said at the time, you know, through your ministry and things like that. But you had a very unique life. You've seen a lot, you know, very diverse background, to say the least. You know, being from CAMDEN, Centerville section in particular, you've traveled all over. You know, you got a very unique thought process on life, which I think is needed. So I want to touch on a lot of things with you. Currently, you're at KIPP High School.
Yep.
Working as a behavior specialist / everything else. What people don't know about you is, though, you turned down, you know, getting back into law enforcement. If y'all didn't know, how long was you in law enforcement?
About 9 years.
9 years. HASSAIN was in law enforcement, and he turned that down to get back into working with kids. You know, what he'll get into is his passion, right? So I want to start with this, you know, for the panel. Purpose versus getting a job, right? Because let's just be honest, at our age, you gotta make some choices, bro. Right. Like, you got families, you got major responsibilities. We all got people depending on us, right? So it's real easy for somebody to say, yeah, that I'm passionate about that, but I got all this over here that I gotta worry about, and that's really easy for you to say, you know. So I remember one time the end of that Kendrick album. I think it was Pimp a Butterfly, when he had the Tupac interlude, and Tupac was saying, when you get to 30 years old as a black man, you don't want to fight no more. You know, whatever it's going to be, you just allow it to be, because the world sucks that fight out of you. And I think that alludes to this question. So, getting to you, let's start with you, HAAS. Why is your purpose so important, rather than, you know, just getting a job, or, you know, just doing this? Why is it so? Because you can make a lot more money doing other things. You can do this, you know, A, B, and C, doing other things, but you choose to lead with purpose. And I've always seen that from you. So let's just start there. Why is that so important, what you're doing through your clothing brand, through working with kids, through coaching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
I believe the purpose, you get to a point in life where you find your calling. Growing up, I grew up with a mother who owned a center, and, you know, in Roosevelt Manor Community Center. And I watched this woman, you know, feed kids breakfast and lunch every day. I watched this woman, you know, pick clothes on, you know, people's backs when they didn't have anything. And this was a seed that was planted in me in an early age, where, you know, my mother took care of the community, and I developed that, but I developed it in the spiritual world. Whereas though I learned, if I continue to plant seeds, somebody will water that seed, and then God will give the increase. So as far as my purpose versus just having a job, I look at it in another way, where, you know, a shepherd is one that tends to the sheep. A shepherd is one that feeds the sheep. A shepherd is one that protects the sheep. But a hireling, which you quote unquote use as a person just getting a job, a hireling is one that, you know, they get paid to do what they do, but when the wolves come to eat up the sheep, they run and leave the wolves to be eaten up. So I use that analogy in a way where I'm somebody that always wanted to protect my community. I have love for my community. I have love for the children in my community. So my passion is to help, be a part of that village that, grow the kids.
What you think, Wayne? I mean, and I guess a better way to rephrase the question, like, I'm gonna say purpose versus just getting through the day. Like, I don't even want to put it towards a job.
Right.
Yeah. What you think about that?
I like what Jay-Z say. Either you got a wicked jump shot, or you selling crack rock. You know what I mean?
Elaborate. What you mean by that?
Growing up in the hood, man, you only see two things, and then you only see two things, and then only two things kind of you look at to be big. You know what I mean? You don't see nothing else. Growing up in the city, it teach you some things that nowhere else can teach you. Everybody say that in their city, if you grow up in here, you can grow up anywhere.
You survive here, you can survive anywhere. Yeah.
And that's real. That's true. You take your bumps and bruises. It teaches everybody different things. You know what I mean? I've been to his mom's community center back in the day too. He brought back memories when he was saying that. That's crazy. I didn't even know that was your mom. That's crazy.
Do we know that? What you just said though? Like about that, if you could survive, we from Camden. If you could survive here, we could survive any. Do we know that?
I mean, I knew that after I took all my bumps and bruises. You feel me? I did. I was like, damn, it can't get no worse than this.
I think what Wayne is saying is, if we could survive this inner city where we come from, which was known as one of the world's most dangerous cities, then we can survive any city. See, most people say that because they never went outside the country. If you were in Afghanistan and you couldn't do the things that you can do in the inner city, would you be able to survive that?
And I guess let me rephrase what I just said again. I guess what I mean is, if we in a corporate room, if we around a whole bunch of people that were quote unquote supposed to make us feel uncomfortable, if we got this deadline for this project, I think that's what I mean the mentality. Like really, we've lived it, right?
Right.
Like we never been on the outside of what we had to grow up in, right? If we could be on the outside, think about the adversity that we had to go through to still be alive right now
on a daily basis.
So when we go over here and got to maneuver in this world,
I think it's easy. It's
capable. This is nothing.
All they can do is say no.
We playing basketball in a state championship game, 1,000 people screaming at you. What? What is that?
I can take it even further. Like me walking into the prison the first time was like me being at home.
Walking through the hood.
And I've never been in prison in my life. But because I can relate to everybody that's here, it was like me being back in Camden. And this is a prison. This is where everybody is. The murderers, the rapists, the drug dealers, the users, everybody is there. It's just a melting pot. And Camden is one and the same. They're just not incarcerated.
For those that don't know, he worked in the prison. He worked in the prison before. And just to elaborate on that, how was you from the city,
right,
and now you working there? Like, how did you navigate that mentally? Like seeing that from this side, like these are people, bro. Like
Yeah. How did you manage that, Haas?
Like,
I was me. I do the same thing I do every day. I love to laugh. I love to crack jokes, but when it's time to get serious, it gets serious. It can go from me laughing with people to me doing the cell extraction. You know what I mean? And being the front line of the cell extraction because I'm a big man. So you're going to be the first person to go into that cell to extract that inmate. You know what I mean? But I grew up with these same people every day. I grew up with the murderers. I grew up with the gangbangers. I grew up with the people that sold drugs. I grew up with these people.
I'm glad you with the kids now, man.
To me, it's like growing up, with your peers, but you just on the opposite end of the gate or the opposite side of the gate.
For sure.
Are we in a spiritual warfare as a community? I don't really like because religion is tomato. Like people,
I don't deal with religion, how people talk about it.
Yeah,
And I don't consider myself to be religious.
I agree.
I look at it. You have to have a relationship with God. You know what I mean? And most of it deals through faith. Like Wayne came in and sat in that chair. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. He sat in that chair without thinking about any consequences. So he had enough faith to sit in that chair to believe that chair was going to hold him up without ever questioning it. And in life, most of the time, even coming to a job or going somewhere where you need to implement that faith because you don't know how you're going to get through this job. Because it's something that you've never seen before. We seen behavior kids in the classroom, but have you seen them in the whole school before? If you never experienced something like that, you have to go into that job with the faith that I'm going to be able to meet and overcome every obstacle that's in my path without ever seeing it.
Yeah, but some people are quote unquote, I ain't spiritual, I'm just here.
And they're not
Right,
bad people.
but what I'm saying to you
they're not
is,
bad people though.
what I'm saying to
Those
you
people
is,
that you say, they're not good. They're not bad people, right? You wouldn't say that, right?
No one is a bad person.
no, what I'm saying to you is, it's
but
faith without even
I don't
ever
really
practicing
understand
it.
Right.
When you're in your car and you press those brakes, it's a belief system that you believe that these brakes are going to stop me from the wreck that's in front of me.
Correct.
It's a belief system, and whoever you have that relationship with and whoever you have that belief in or faith in is going to cause you to act out the way that you live.
I agree with that.
So we all believe in something. You basically say.
Of course. Even the atheists believe in something.
Yeah. They believe that it is nothing. Whatever was the reason why they believe it is nothing. That's what.
But it's not that they don't believe. It's they choose to not believe. Because the fact of the matter is,
So that's what we fighting.
we're fighting.
What you talking about?
Right. Because at the end of the day, if I don't believe in something, then I'm not the opposite of it. Love is one thing. The opposite of love is what?
Hate. Or
Hate.
Yeah.
Light, the opposite of darkness. Atheist, a believer. My thing is this: how can you hate somebody if you never loved them first?
It's go one and the same. Right.
It's impossible. How can you hate something you never loved? Because if these lights are cut off, darkness will appear. Because they can't comprehend one another. But as soon as the lights come back on, darkness have to leave.
Yeah, that's why I think I asked y'all that question just because I really think we complicating this thing called life. To be honest with you, like I think because the situations is going to continue to arise, right? Like I just really think it's just all about choices. I think
And that's the thing.
we get
Choices
1,000 choices a day, and we get to choose.
Choices and opportunities every day.
And I just think as a whole, we just allow and we just going left with the choice every single time because I just think it's easy. I don't know. I just think we overcomplicate, and that's why I said spirituality. Because I mean, if I agree, and I do, I never thought of it that way, but I agree with what you're saying. Like we all do believe in something, right? But
I hang with Muslims all the time.
I think we allowing that side to just win constantly. Like there's no balance in the world to me right now. None. Adults, kids, we just going left with everything.
So it's basically we choose life or death every day.
I think
it might not kill us right now.
Nah, we dying, bro. We dying, bro.
Check this out. I'm glad you said that. And that's the process of choosing life or death on a daily. Your thoughts lead you to your destination. If every day I don't protect my thoughts, it become words. And when I don't protect those words, it become actions. And if I don't protect my actions, it become my habits. And if I don't protect my habits, it's become my character. And my character leads me to my destination. So if I woke up this morning and say, look, I'm going to rob somebody today. And then when I get to that destination, the owner of that store kills me. It started with my thought, the choice that I made in my head. So whatever you feed yourself, that's what you're going to produce. So if I feed myself good thoughts, if I, feed myself faith and belief and something that's going to make me walk upright, that's the path that I'm going to take. And that's what's going to lead me to my destination every time. But if I begin to change and I tell myself I'm depressed, I'm stressed out, I will never be anything. I'm planting seeds into my own life. And when those seeds begin to manifest, I really took on a label that I put on myself and begin to live it out. But any day I can make the choice, say, you know what? I don't want to sell drugs anymore. I want to be a Walmart greeter. I like to talk to people. I can be that person that say smile or have a blessed day every day and change the life of many people by just doing what's right versus choosing death every time. But it starts with your thought. And like I said, whatever you feed yourself, that's what's going to come out of you.
Walmart greeter. He had to go all the way down there though. Damn.
Oh, you said all the way down there, which means that it's a low state
compared to if you was a drug dealer.
But when you're in a low state, that's when God uses you the most.
True.
Most people that go through have greater testimonies than a person that never been through nothing.
For sure.
Elaborate on that.
So
Which one?
Like
Walmart greeter as opposed to a drug dealer.
So a Walmart greeter makes $14.50 an hour, potentially making $29,000 a year. A drug dealer can make potentially $100,000 a year, get incarcerated for 10 years, and make less than $2 an hour. So who made out more, the Walmart greeter or the drug dealer?
Definitely the Walmart greeter.
The Walmart greeter. And guess what? They got freedom. They got finances.
That depends how you look at it.
Yeah, see, what do you mean?
Because, see, I was about to say something to you, and it just kind of flipped for a second because of Haas's response. I mean, it depends on how you look at it, because, and I'm going to go back. Now, I'm going to go back to what Wayne said.
Are you talking about finances here?
I'm talking about having a plan.
Okay.
I'm talking about if that drug dealer had a plan,
right,
and he knew that consequence was a.
They all know that consequence. It's not that they knew. Every drug dealer knows there's a consequence.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They think it's going to be amazing, and they're going to have a 30-year run and retire in Miami.
So you don't think no drug dealers know they're going to lose people along the way? None of them going to take losses?
I didn't say none. I said I don't think as much as you think. No, this is a possibility. I think they think it's going to be roses, like throughout.
That's an athlete. I think playing basketball, I'm going to be this in 30 years, and it's going to pay off.
But the only reason I had a caveat with that is because, again, if that drug dealer have a plan, I'm totally okay with it. And I might have to go do 5, 10, 15 years, but I had a plan to set these people up over here.
I understand what you're saying.
And my family, but I had to be the.
It's drug dealers that's safe.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But I'm also okay with that Walmart greeter having a plan.
For sure.
And not just getting $14.50 an hour to just do it. Cause you had a look on your face like Walmart greeter.
Right. But what he don't understand is that Walmart greeter is getting a stock from Walmart in Walmart. So potentially in the next 15 years, they can own a large amount of stock in Walmart, which is going to be way more valuable.
If he knows that and understands the importance, like we just have to have a plan. A Walmart greeter could be the richest person in the world.
That's true.
He could be the richest person in the world, the happiest person in the world. Like I'm. What y'all think about the Kanye doc? Have y'all watched it at all?
I didn't finish it yet.
Well, you just right.
Genius.
Yeah, genius.
Look at this. Look at this.
You're genius.
Now let's go back to that low state. The person that recorded it didn't get anything out of it at the time, right?
All them years.
Shout out to Cootie, man.
And people would say
20 years.
that he's stupid for doing this and all that and getting nothing from it.
100%.
So he's the Walmart worker you trying about to say.
He's the Walmart worker.
He's the Walmart
West-
He's a
greeter.
Walmart worker.
He's
Kanye
the
West is the
Walmart
drug
greeter.
dealer.
No, Kanye
He
is
lost
not the
people
drug
around
dealer
the way. He
because
lost
Kanye had the
losses.
plan the whole time.
Kanye's is in the
He's
same.
a drug dealer.
No, the
No.
drug dealers are the person that,
no,
if
no.
you watch the documentary, the drug dealers are the person that was with Kanye, but turned their back on Kanye, and then they lost it all, where Cootie now got $30 million from staying with the process. You understand what I'm saying? Those drug dealers, the one that came at him, dissed him on a song, those people,
But
the one
BBC
that actually taught him how to do it,
Crazy.
turned their back on him.
Crazy.
And now he's worth billions, and they're worth their mother's liver.
That's an amazing analogy, bro. That's the average drug dealer.
Right there.
Them dudes, whoever them clowns was from Chicago.
Benny Siegel got his money though.
You know why?
Because he named
He
it.
only got it because Kanye's a stand-up guy.
That's true.
But-
You're Gemini.
But the thing is that Beanie Siegel planted a seed.
The drug dealer.
No, he planted that seed into, he planted the seed into Kanye. That seed got watered. That Yeezus got watered. That name alone
He
got
kept doing what he
watered.
was doing.
And then when the increase came, he had to reap a harvest. So the thing about sowing is, if I sow apple seeds,
Sure.
my harvest should be an apple tree.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And with that apple tree brings forth life, because fruit helps heal the body. But then, on the other hand, if I plant a meth seed or whatever type of seed that's going to kill multiple people, then I'm bringing forth death in my harvest. So whatever we sow, that's what we're going to reap from it.
It's that simple.
You know what I mean? And if you, like I said, a good tree can only produce good fruit. An evil tree cannot produce good fruit. So with our children, the word say train up a child in the way they should go. For when they are old, they won't depart from it. Train up a child means to put inside of the mouth of a child. Whatever you feed your baby, that's what's going to come out in that diaper. But in real life, whatever you feed that baby, that's what's going to come out when they grow up. The reason we're sitting here today is because we had good mothers that taught us things. I have one person that grew up in the same home, and we lived two different lives because I chose to be a positive product of my environment. Although the drugs was there, the guns was there, the murders was there.
And though, before you say that, although you was always not guy of my city.
I wasn't always God in my city.
Let's talk about that. Take us
Or
back.
I could have always been God
us
in my
back to the
city, but it was just
transition.
lying dormant in me.
Take us back to the transition. I want to hear it again for the people.
Well, the main transition is when I went to college,
Marshall.
Marshall University. I went to college and I had nothing. You know, I was there. I had no money. I had nothing. And now, mind you, by this time, I was going to church at 10 years old by myself. I was taking people to church at 13 years old by myself.
So he was always in you.
It was always in me. My mom didn't go to church. My dad was Muslim. So I didn't have nobody taking me to church. I would put on mismatched suits and walk around the corner and go to church at an early age.
But at Antioch,
No, Bethel and me on Phillip Street. But from 10 to 18, I was still spiritually dead because I never knew the Bible. I thought as a kid I was going to church that I was going to go to heaven. But that's not so. It's a lifestyle that you really have to live. But the thing about it is I fed my flesh all throughout those years. I was in the streets. I was drinking. We were smoking. We were doing all this. I was feeding that for 20 years. So it's not, oh, I love God all of a sudden that my whole world is just going to change. Nah, there's some things that had to drop off along the way. The more I gained knowledge about who he is, the more I knew who I was. So in college, I was telling people about God, and I was still going to the club. I was still drinking. I was still smoking. These same people started going to church every Sunday. And I started having one-on-ones with God, like how he's going to church every Sunday, and he never knew who you were before I got here. And this is one of my friends from Ghana. Never knew who you were before I got here. He's in church every Sunday. On my way to the club, I was with my boy from Ohio. Those same guys that I was talking to about God every week, they were in a parking lot praying. I told my boy from Ohio, go ahead, bro. I'm going over here with them. I just wanted to see what they was doing. They started praying over me. And this was the first time that I felt the Spirit of God on my life, where nobody in this world can tell me that it wasn't God. Because the feeling that I had, I wasn't one of those people that fake it, I'm going to fall out in church or I'm going to praise dance and all. I wasn't that guy. I told God, if you're real, show me. I want to feel your presence. And that day, I felt the Spirit of God so heavy on me, I wanted to fall, but nobody was touching me. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And guess what? The word of God said, when I would do good, evil is always present, right? So I left them, didn't go to the club. I went to my dorm. I get a call from VA. VA like, yo, bro, we about to fight.
Aaron Banks, VA.
He like, yo, bro, we about to fight. I said, all right. Hung up the phone. I'm like, God, you just did this for me. Like, why would that happen?
First test.
First test. I get out there. I said, all right, I'm contemplating with God. Like, God, that's my cousin. I'm going out there. I'm talking to God like he don't know the real. Like, we boys. Out there, we cousins. We get out there. Well, I get out there. It's like 15 to 20 on 20. My guys and all these college football recruits. So I'm standing in the middle. I can do one or two things at this moment. And this was the first time God allowed me to see how he departed the Red Sea. I could have hooked somebody and started the whole melee. But God said, just tell them to go ahead. Don't even worry about it. To me, if somebody told me to go ahead back then, that's fighting words. But I said, yo, you might as well just go ahead, bro. Don't even worry about it. And everybody went like this.
That easy, huh?
That easy.
And it could have been that easy, you could have swung.
I could have chose death and swung. Somebody would have died that night.
For sure.
For sure. But death and life is in the power of our tongue. And when I spoke that, everybody just separated and went their own ways. And guess who was in the wrong? Me and my people. Those college football recruits wasn't in the wrong. One of us took something from one of them. But because of the Spirit of God that was on me that night, you know what I'm saying? And this is another thing that God showed me. God started showing me what love was from people that I never grew up with. Mind you, I didn't have anything. By the time I left Marshall, I was sending refrigerators home. Games, stuff that I didn't have money to buy. But he showed up in a time where I really needed him. The first time I called home and my brother told me, yo, I miss you, was like my brother saying, bro, I love you. And we never used to say that. Nobody used to say, yo, I love you. That wasn't a thing, bro. And that used to hurt me. Because what God showed me, he said, you know what? Women birth. So plant seeds. So what I did was I called all the females in my family, my girl cousins, my mom, my aunts, my sisters, only females every day. And I told them I love them. Every day I was doing that to the point where they called me back like, yo, why you ain't call me today and tell me you love me? And that seed that I planted, it still lives today because now everybody say I love you. My mom was telling her kids, the kids telling her, we telling each other. And this is something that didn't exist.
When y'all grew up, it wasn't in the house at all.
It wasn't in the house.
That's real.
But not that it wasn't in the house because it was shown, not said.
Okay.
Mind you, my mom took care of the whole community. So she loved the whole community, but it was never verbally said. I had to dig deeper. I went to my grandma. Why is my mom? And then I learned that her dad, her parents didn't tell her. But then I talked to my aunt, who was 107 at the time. She was like, it's nobody but the Lord, baby. So I'm like, yo, my grandma 82, you're 107, where is God? What happened with God from a person that was serving him 100 years to a person that's just 80 years and don't speak on him? You know what I mean? And I'll be like, I'm the one that torch fell on. Because I'm the youngest out of all my brothers and sisters.
I think a lot of people think about this. Do we have to compromise ourselves to have this ultimate relationship with God?
Compromise yourself?
I don't think so.
I think
If
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people think,
you got away from yourself.
You got to go so
You
far
can't be
left
yourself.
because now you want to be spiritual or
That's
you
not
want
God.
to.
Y'all know me.
You got to change everything about yourself.
So the question with me to you is, do you think I compromise myself, or I'm still the same house that crack jokes?
When you was the
that
sheriff,
don't care.
when you was messing with the sheriff part of it, you did.
I think
That's different from relationship or with God versus occupation that you got to uphold.
I know on the outside looking in, many people thought that you changed.
Right.
Just because, oh my God, all of the sudden he's preaching the word. He's putting out all this. I know it's positive information, but when you're accustomed to seeing a person
wilding out
just this way, now you think that's like that for life. Jay-Z was supposed to talk about drugs his whole career. He wasn't supposed to grow into a business mogul. Like, no, I want to hear about the coke deals and all those type of things. I know the same thing was with you. So I'm posing the question.
The old me would have never been a great father. The old me would have never matured into a great husband. I wasn't even a great husband when I started. You know what I mean? It was bad. But me now, I believe I'm greater than who I was. And I can talk about that because was time where she wanted to give up. I wanted to give up. But because of our relationship with God, we're able to almost see 16 years of marriage in May 31st.
Congrats, bro.
You know what I mean? Thank you.
And you never compromise who you are as a person, because I think the majority of the world feels like if I do this over there, then I gotta change.
You don't have to compromise. It would teach you how to separate yourself from things.
You just chose to mature in the person that you are.
Right. People thought I was a joke until I started preaching funerals.
Real quick, without growing up with love and being said in the household, how did that manifest into you being a husband at a young age? Like, how did that happen? It's
separate.
Okay.
Because the love that God taught me, the love that I was learning from men of God showed me, oh, you gotta love your wife like he loved the church. He died for her. And most men won't put themselves in a place where they'll die for their family. That's why there's so many single family homes where the father is absent.
That's crazy.
And it's not because they didn't love the woman, but when you don't protect yourself, you don't protect your family.
Okay.
And when you learn that if I protect myself, I protect my family, it will cause separation between the people that you have dealings with. That's called maturity. I don't be around everybody no more. I don't even be around family like that no more. Why? Because this is my DNA. Something about getting back attached to your DNA causes you to do the same things that they do. So if they're drinking and this is something y'all have fun with your whole life, it's going to entice you to want to do that. But the thing about it is they still remember what you said and who you claim to be. So it will be thrown back into your face when they feel like this is necessary for them to expose who you are. But what people don't understand is I'm just a sinner saved by grace. So I'm not greater than you. I just have spent more time with God than you. I just read my word more than you. I just happen to pray more than you. It's not that I'm better than you.
You still be praying for me, cuz?
Every day you gotta pray.
Man.
He said pray without ceasing. That's why I even brought it up to Tuan to even pray today before we got here. You know what I mean? It's something about prayer that changed the atmosphere, bro. And like when like you can see it in a person's voice when they shift. You can see the shift when they get to the point where God is using them versus them just being who they are. You can see it in a person. We're all great men, but certain things have to be brought out of us. And that's with growth, maturity, and learning who you are. When we self-evaluate, that's how we learn about ourselves the most. It's either you're going to self-evaluate and become better, or God is going to show you who you are in other people. And the fact of the matter is, most of the time, we don't like it in other people. So we judge the other person, not realizing God is showing us that's us. That's the mirror that you're looking at. But because we don't take the time to self-evaluate, we don't take the time to grow and mature, we stay in a place where we're complacent. And that complacency shows us that there's no growth at all. If you're still the same person you are from 10 years ago, something is dead in you. And until that is resurrected in you, you will never reach your full potential.
Let's end with this. You grew up in the heart of Centerville, bro.
Right.
Centerville Projects. In the heart of Centerville. And that's flipping. It's so crazy how life works. 15, 20 years later, removed from high school. Now, you back mentoring kids. You working in the school system.
Right.
You got the God Heal My City brand. How long has it been since you started your brand?
I would say about 2015.
20, it's crazy. 7 years in the making. With all that, with all you doing for the community, did you see this path for yourself?
Nah, I ain't never want to have kids. I ain't never want to be involved with none of that. You know what I mean? I had a goal. My goal was to be like my big brother. This wasn't that. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know.
Hey, you keep on saying your big brother. We gotta say you gotta shout him out, man. People don't
Dada,
know.
you know what I mean? My big brother, Dada, I always wanted to be like my big brother. I wanted to ball like him. I wanted to dress like him. I want everything that he was, I wanted to be like. Until I found myself. And knew that, you know, the things that I wanted to be like wanted to really be like me.
Ain't that some stuff?
Life is a trip, bro.
That's crazy.
Life is a trip, bro.
That's crazy.
And the reason I say that is because, you know, when you become who you're supposed to be, you're worth more than a copy. Original painting is always worth more than a copy. And trying to be like something, you will never know what it takes to be that person. Because the struggles, the trials, the tribulations that they go through. Like, oh, people say, oh, I want money like Kanye. But you don't know what that man had to go through to get there. You don't know what he sacrificed to get to who he is. We don't know. If you never had a gun to your head, if you never had a gun shot at you, but you want that Rolls Royce that drug dealer is driving, you're going to end up with a cursed blessing.
You might get it, but it's gonna be cursed, right? I got you.
People get new cars all the time and crash them in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that bucket they had for 10 years is still gone. Because we often search for the things that we want versus the things that we need. And when we get the things that we want, it don't last long. But the things that we need last forever.
And the blessings we already have.
And that's the thing. You wake up every morning with a blessing.
Sure.
All of us woke up in our right mind with the activity of our limbs. We woke up with new mercy, new grace, new opportunities, and new choices. All of us.
24 hours.
All of us. But even after this interview, the choices that we make can be detrimental. Only if we allow a temporary emotion to cause it.
That's your phone, huh?
That's this thing. I don't know how to turn it off.
I thought you got me over everything is mine. The answer I be trying to holler at me talking about your phone. It ain't mine.
No,
yo.
my phone is on silent.
It's his.
Edit that out.
Yo, but you know, like I always say, man, I like saying this stuff on camera, man.
But I do want to. I have one more.
Go ahead.
thing,
I'm sorry.
bro. I'm sorry. You know, so God Heal My City started as God Heal CAMDEN. You know, God Heal CAMDEN happened after my little cousin Quandell Lawrence and Michael Burrell was, you know, murdered in the city. You know, at this time I was a sheriff in the city, so you know I knew what was going on, and I can even go two ways with this. You know, I can seek revenge, or I can let God fight this battle. And what I chose to do is I chose to let God fight the battle by creating something that people weren't doing. We walked for cancer, we walked for lupus, sarcoidosis, autism. But nobody in the city at the time was walking for prayer. So I said, if I can get people to come together and pray, because all of us seek healing on a daily basis. No matter what area of our life is broken, we seek some sort of healing. So I said, you know, let's pray for that. Let's go to these drug sets and pray on that drug set. My first prayer walk, I started at Sycamore, you know, which is a known area. And I decided we're going to start here and we're going to march down my knee from, and we're going to march to Centerville. So we're going to meet different blocks where we're going to pray where there's gang activity and there's violence. The thing about it is, a lot of these people that's on the corner don't want to be there. But if we don't provide the resources for them to leave, they're never going to change. And I think the only thing that's going to change the community is to change the mindset of the people in the community. You know, so I put it on Facebook. I said, hey, how many people want to do a prayer walk? Over 300 people stated that they wanted to be a part of a prayer walk. So you're saying over 300 families is broken and nobody reaching out to them. There's more churches on every corner in Camden than there are liquor stores. But somehow the liquor store has more people in them on a daily basis than the church do. And the only time we meet at the church is when death arises. That's a problem. So we need to get involved in the healing process of the people. So I created God Hill Camden. But while I was worshiping on Ferry Ave one day, holding up my shirt, God said every city in the world need healing. He said, he told me personally to make people be a billboard for him. So by wearing your prayer, when people see God Hill my city, it ain't about them being religious. It's about them having enough guts to say, you know what? I'm going to pray for the people in my community. I'm going to pray for my city. When people read your shirt, it's a subconscious prayer. A lot of people you talk to say, I don't know how to pray.
It's kind of like a WWJD. Like, you know what I mean?
What would you, and everybody, even if it means something else, when you see that, that's what comes to mind.
Sure.
That's what play in the back of your mind.
And it helped that Camden was a C with city. You feel me? It did help you.
And the fact of the matter is, when I changed it from God Hill Camden to God Hill my city, that's when it started going across the world.
Of course. For sure.
Well, like I said, brother, appreciate everything that you do.
Your season over?
High school? Yeah, it's over. We in AAU, bro. Came to the league. Back in AAU. Transitioned out. Yeah, but it's all over for this year. Yup.
Love you,
For
guys.
this year.
32, bro.
Word.
Big little kid over here, man. Seeing this guy every day. You gotta see him and Manny, man. Two big little kids every single day.
Walking down the
All
hallway.
they do is play, bro.
But guess what? Laughter is like medicine. So the more we bring laughter to those kids, the more they can heal. Even with that.
That's where we started from, healing the kids. We ain't worrying about the adults.